Okay. So let's see where we're at. Okay. Red glasses, red glasses.
You're awesome. You're awesome.
I don't even know what I'm doing. It's just a guess.
I like it.
Okay. Ready? Welcome to JediRich.com Productions. This is the home of the JediRich. Enjoy. Wait. Take two. Take two. Welcome to JediRich.com Productions. The home of the JediRich Joy Show. Starring JediJoy.
Right here.
Okay. Anyways, this is our first episode. So we wanted to talk about a couple things. For those of you who don't know, this is JediJoy.
I'm JediJoy.
And my name is JediRich. And JediJoy is an expert in everything.
Thank you, JediRich.
Yeah, no, she's actually helped me quite a bit. But basically what this show is about sharing our lives with you guys. And letting you guys know what it is that we do. And, you know, because people constantly ask us, they say, hey, what is it that you guys do all day? And we say, man, it's hard to describe, but we sure are busy. But what we did want to talk about today is something that's going around in Vegas. And I wanted to show this to JediJoy. I showed it to her earlier. Now, this is a very shocking video. Very, very shocking video. Now, she's already laughing. For those of you that don't know, the thing about JediJoy is, not a lot of things make her laugh, but one of the things that will make her laugh is a man falling. And one of the things that makes me laugh is her laughing. Now, I find this video just hard to watch. Just so tragic. I just think about, gosh, what if that was my poor old son. Anyways, I'll show you the video. Let's play the video. But I'm going to show it to her while I show it to you. So I'm going to put it in front of her face, and you guys are going to see it. And then let's just see her reaction, and let's see what you guys think about it, okay? Now, and we'll discuss it. I mean, there's a lot of talking back and forth what went on with this, but let's go ahead. So here she goes. I'm going to show her the video, and what we have is, let's see, start it right about, here you go. Okay, they're arguing about something. I don't know what they're talking about, but clearly they're talking about something. He says, get off the bus. Look at her laugh. Should I be concerned? Okay, now let's play it back again. Let's play it back again here. Okay, so what happened was, see, earlier they were just sitting here talking, and she's saying some shit, blah, 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 and he says something, and he gets up, says, I need to get off the bus, would you get out of my way? He says, I'll get out of your way. Thank you, finally, God, you're a mean old lady, he says. He says, I am not.
Oh, God. Oh, she, like, lifted him up and thrust him out. Okay, she got some anger issues. What is she wearing? Is she wearing stripes? Did you see her outfit? It's like, it looked like striped and purple. Or is this just because everyone's in purple?
No. Okay. Everyone's in purple.
Oh,
here we go.
That's just the screen.
Okay, now,
I thought she was wearing a completely striped outfit.
No, it's black and white, and then. Okay, so here they were. They're sitting there talking. It's like he wants to get off the bus. And I don't know what happened, but they had a little issue earlier. And he was like, they were talking. He's like, well, God damn it. Just shut up. Lady, would you just shut up?
Is he wearing a UPS hat? He just looks like a grumpy old man.
I mean, I thought you were a nice person. That's someone's grandpa. That's someone's grandpa there.
He does not look like a very nice man. If that's the way the universe wanted him to go out. I mean, look at this guy. Doesn't he just look like a grump, though? Look at the way he moves.
Oh, he looks incredibly grumpy.
Oh, my God. Like, you just see the way his face is moving. up, like thrust up his body. That's what's crazy. Like,
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Dude, what happened? Everyone else on the bus just sat there.
Well, here was what happened earlier. She's yelling about something, and he says, they're sitting there. See, they did it backwards.
But no one else seemed to even respond after she pushed him.
Well, what are they supposed to do, really? If you think
Did the
about
bus driver take off?
it? That's a good question. Okay, so here they are. So that was them sitting. She's yelling about something, and then here they go again. She points at him.
Oh my god. I think it's the fact that he goes so limp. Like, look at his feet. Everything's just like.
Okay, so we've seen the video.
Oh god. Okay.
Now,
Everyone's going
I
to
wanna
be so
ask you-
shocked by him laughing.
yeah, so let's talk. I want to ask you all, how do you all feel about what you just saw?
Am I supposed to answer?
Okay,
Oh, wait.
now I want to know how you felt, JediJoy.
Okay.
How do you feel?
Okay. Well, the reason why I think I have an echo.
You have a little delay.
Yeah, is that what it is? It makes me feel stoned.
Is that
Makes me.
is that a little better?
Oh yeah, that was loud.
sorry about
It
that.
made me feel really stoned because it was like my own words were echoing in my ear, so it was like. That was kind of a cool effect. But,
Okay, so let's talk about what we just saw.
well, the reason why I laugh is because I don't think he's probably. I mean, people might be mad at me for saying this, but he don't probably seem like he's the nicest man if that's kind of the way the universe had him go out. And also, I can just tell by his body movements that he was just like very grumpy and everything. Like, so he's just. But what she did is not okay, and I'm not laughing that she pushed a man. I'm
Right,
just
that's
laughing
correct.
at like the incident in the video, and like I don't know, it's funny.
Okay.
Oh, but I remember. Oh, yeah. So this is important to know. Hold on, I remember. So my grandpa, he used to love eating food. Like he ate so much food, and he would get kicked out of buffets all the time because like he would overeat, and they'd be like, "No, man, you've eaten too much. You gotta go." So.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he get kicked out of buffets because like
Is
there
that
is
possible?
a. Oh yeah,
Can you
there's
get
a limit.
kicked? I
Yeah.
didn't think that was legal that you could get
Well,
kicked
now
out of it
I
all.
think they probably don't because people eat so much and the food is so cheap. But this is back, in like the 70s. So I imagine, they couldn't afford that. But now, like, it's such crap and people are so large now as a whole. Like some people are that they're
I've
eating
seen
way
people
more
get
than
kicked out of buffets
no, but they're
before.
eating way more than my grandpa was at that time. But it was a lot for the time. Does that make sense? But our portions have grown over the years. So like he was getting kicked out for what now people would probably eat at a buffet, but back then because it was at like a crab buffet, it was
see.
very expensive, and they were
okay.
like, "Oh my gosh, you can't eat this much, sir." So they made him leave, but that would happen often. So
Well, okay, yes. Sorry, that just sounds funny to me. It happens often to be kicked out of an all-you-can-eat buffet. Can you imagine that you go sit down and you pay for all you can eat, but it regularly happens that they say, "Sir, you've literally eaten more than we." You have to leave.
well, they used to be stricter at the buffets. It didn't used to be like, I mean, all you could eat kind of meant like, have 2 plates and move along, But now I think they do have to kind of be like,
Right.
I mean, I don't know what they do now, so I don't know how, because some people eat quite large portions. But anyways, that wasn't the point. But so my grandpa always loved buffets, and he ended up dying at a buffet, at a Chinese buffet. He had a heart attack, and we laughed because we thought at least he died doing what he enjoyed.
So true. So true.
So we thought we got a kick out of it.
What he enjoyed doing was getting thrown out of out of buffets, and for the very last time, he got thrown out of the ultimate buffet. Man, you are out of this buffet. Get the f out of here.
Yeah, you were a heart attack girl. So but it's funny because he had been in a lot of pain. He had a bunch of back surgeries, and so he was young. He was only like 64, but he was in so much pain. And then so if anything, he was like, oh, good, no more surgeries. So he was probably happy now that it could be done because he was living in pain all the time. And then he ended up, and he ate poorly, so that didn't help to the pain. You know, and all the GMOs and all the. Remember all the MSG they were doing back then too, and all that.
Yes,
crap?
MSG is something that was called monosodium glutamate.
So it was
a gluten. Yes, what it made it was it thickened. It was a thickener.
Yeah, anything that does thickening, you're right.
Yeah, so they made that illegal because they knew back then that the combination of the sodium with the gluten was really, really, really addictive to humans. Really bad for you, I guess. So they took that out, and then they've known gluten is a problem for a while.
Right. Then they lie about it.
Right. So this man was on his way to the Heart Attack Grill, probably to get a gluten sandwich, and he's 197 years old, and they pushed him off. Oh wait, did we mention that he died?
Oh yeah. So that's why some people
everyone's freaking out because
might
he
not
died.
think it's funny that I'm laughing. But okay, you guys, he's really old. And if he was okay, my grandparents are dead. I have two that are still alive, but then I have two that are dead.
Yes.
So and then all of the ones beyond that are dead, like great grandparents and stuff. But and then my mom's dead, and JediJoyRich's dad is dead, and we have two brothers that are dead. So we know about death. So we're not like taking lightly that someone died. We, if anything, since we've experienced so much death, we can take it a little bit more lightly in the sense of that's, you know, people live and die every day, you know.
We're what you would call death experts, if you will.
Right. And for if anything, it seems like leaving here, it might be cool going to the next place. You know what I mean? You maybe get another opportunity to do it a little better or something. I don't know exactly how it works, but this guy seemed to be a real grumpy, depressed individual because he was getting in fights with people on the bus. Now, I'm not saying in any way did this woman ever have a right to push an old man off a bus, but he definitely was probably saying some really awful things in order to get pushed off a bus, is all I'm saying.
Well, one of the things that we see here in Vegas a lot, and then for those of you who don't live here, which there's not a lot of people that actually live here, and that's true. But for those who don't understand, at times, it becomes like, okay, it becomes a spectacle if you were really into gladiator fighting of like drunk midgets. I know that's not the most PC word, but that's pretty much what it's like. That sort of entertainment where, like you walk down the strip and you'll see people arguing, and like you'll be like, oh man, that's awful that dude, you know, shoved that girl's head in the fountain like that. But then earlier you didn't see that girl is just the most awful female ever, you know?
Right.
So they pair them up. So a lot of this stuff you're just kind of like, wow, you see a lot of humanity here, and that also has shaped our view on death as well.
True, yeah, like because that's a good topic that I just thought of because we've talked about this before. The thing is, I am not for that everyone that dies was a good person. You know, I get so tired of like going to funerals that they just praise the people, and I refuse to do that. Like my great grandpa died when I was young, and he was a horrible person. He was actually super racist individual. I did not like him as a child. He was very, very mean, and when he died, they asked me if I wanted to go to the funeral, and I just said no. I was only like maybe 5 or 6. So I was like, no, thank you. Or maybe I was like 7 because I think it was after my dad left. So because like I was living with my mom, and so my dad said, "Do you want to go to the funeral?" And I said no. So like I don't like to go to these things when it's like they praise this person that was a horrible person, and they think, "Oh, we have to because they died." Well, no, why don't you just be honest? Like, it's not saying you have to say they're a horrible person, but when they lie at the funerals, I hate that. It's like everyone's funeral, they look like they were like the best person in the whole planet. When you're like, what? There's a lot of assholes dying, but no one says that at the funeral. And I'm not saying say they're an asshole, but be fucking honest. And don't show up to funerals and say you like someone when you didn't. That shit pisses me off because it's not like you're lying to anyone that like you're the people that you think you're lying to, like, already know, like, because they're probably the people that were closest to the person, so they know you're a fraud. And then you also got the person that just died, that wherever they're at knows you're a fucking fraud. So you just make a fool of yourself going to a funeral that you didn't like the person. You know what I mean? Because like, the person from the other side is like, why are you at my funeral? You hated me. And then everyone around that was close to the person will know if you guys were close or not. So I've been to a lot of funerals where I see people just coming, and it just makes me sick to my stomach. And it makes me sick to my stomach when you see people fighting over possessions when people die.
Right.
I hate that.
Greed has ran rampant in our society. And what's happened is that there's so much wealth in America that it seems like the goal is really to acquire your parents' wealth and to pass that down. And that was the goal for many generations. They would say, here, save your money and pass it on to your kids. Well, that kind of stopped, I think, with millennials. I don't think those guys are passing much on to millennials, except for the ultra wealthy. And those guys are continuing to do that. And that's how they maintain, their position, by the way, is that they continue to steamroll this wealth and pass it on to the next gen and next gen. And then what happens is, by the time you get to where we're at now, a couple thousand years later, down from the descendants of kings and slave owners and all that, right. Where we're at now is that these grandchildren, they could give two fucks about anything.
I know. Gosh,
and they're
really
so
dumb.
They're so dumb too.
Oh yeah. That's what we were talking about the other day that I was getting off. Hold on. When I wear these headphones, it pushes on my glasses a little bit, but then pushes into your head. So you got just it. But anyways, so lately I've been having irritations with. We get a lot of Amazon delivery because we don't have a car, so we order sometimes for the Whole Foods to come here, and then we also Uber. So we experience a lot of things with people and their GPS and stuffing and getting places. And man, it is such a like 50-50 shot of like if someone's going to find our address or not. And so it just gets so irritating because I've been in the car numerous times with the Uber drivers when I can see it's telling them to go where we live, right. But their brain like tells them they think they know where we're, because like where we live, like it gets a little confusing because there's like a hotel right in front. They get confused, and then it's also like the name of it like confuses them because there's several of them, because these weeklies and stuff. So they think they know, so then they kind of shut out everything else that's telling them, literally the GPS and their passengers, go this way. And that's why I find it frustrating, because I don't know what it is. It's because it's not really like a intelligence thing. It's like a arrogant thing.
Yeah, and we get a lot of that here in Las Vegas. We get a lot of people being very presumptuous when there's a phrase that we used to hear, like, hey, don't judge a book by its cover. And that is something that I realize that the mass of society do, at least the Uber drivers. And I think it's a good sample to take a look at what people are doing, because what they'll do is they'll just see a snapshot of, female, male, with a camera, tourist heading to the airport. So right off the bat, they're so think they know confused. Us. They're like, okay, well, why are we going? Okay, and then they keep going. And it's like, it takes them a while to undo their previous belief. So long,
sometimes you're right.
It takes them so long to undo. It takes them so long to undo their previous belief system, because that is what they believe.
That's such a good point.
So, when we're talking about what people believe, something as simple as that, where you don't have to Google the facts. All you have to do is ask the person the facts. Where are you going? And they still can't hear it. And then you point, and they still can't see it. And then the app is telling them, and they still don't know, because they're still in the mindset that we're tourists going to the airport.
Yeah, or tourists going to a hotel.
Or to another hotel.
To a hotel. So that's why they think they're dropping us off at a hotel, no matter that their app is telling them, no, but you haven't. It hasn't said you arrived. It's saying, keep going, you can see. And then what's frustrating is they always blame it on the app. And yes, sometimes the app is wrong. Okay, we ride in so many Ubers, and we get so much Whole Foods delivery compared to probably to other people because we don't have a vehicle. So I see the couple times it's wrong. I've seen those. And the thing about Uber is they constantly are updating their app. So they're constantly updating the map. So I've even seen it change. Like it was wrong and now it's not. So it's rarely the app. It's usually the user. And that's fine. I get they don't want to, look bad because you're the customer and they don't want to get bad ratings. But when they go to the fact of arguing with you about where you live, or like I tell them it's a dead end and they say, no, it's not. I'm like, well, it is. And then they go and we drive to the dead end to then just turn around. And like, we just don't say anything. You just sit in the back seat and you're just like, okay. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's like, I feel like it's like this pig-headedness of, I think people are so scared of being stupid. Like people are so scared of looking dumb that they end up looking dumb by being worried about looking dumb. You know what I mean? Like instead of just saying, "Oh, I messed up. Oh, I didn't know. Oh," I mean, instead they're like, "Oh no, oh no, oh yeah, oh yeah." They don't ever want to say they were wrong. So that's my 2 cents.
Yes, and what very, very, very good insight. What she was saying. And what I was trying to, the reason why I'm a little lost for words, because what I do often is as she's talking about things, what I see is I see parallels for things. And so as she's talking about these Uber drivers, and she's telling her where she wants to go with her own body, where she wants her body to go. She's telling a man where she wants the body to go. However, the man has a belief that her body should go somewhere else. So even though she is telling him, I need to go right there, and your app is telling her, the app is telling him the same thing, because they have this brainwashing that they can't be wrong, they refuse to see that it's her body and she knows what she wants to do with it. Does that make sense to you all? So yes, and so the parallel would be the things that are going on right now. It don't matter your opinion on whether abortion should be happening or not, because it's not your body. With your body, do what you want. You don't own this other person's body. That goes back to the slave days. And that's why it's the slave states that are still fighting for the abortions, because they still believe that the state can own a person. And that's why everyone else fights against that concept. And they've fooled the religious into believing that they're killing babies in order to propagate their agenda of owning people's bodies.
Good point. Yeah, and you know what? So I'll bring up a good point. So I guess the new thing is Alabama, right?
Alabama, and well, now it's going to be Georgia, and then all of us are going to do it too, because they're like, oh, look what we got away with.
Who else is gonna?
Alabama, Georgia.
But who just after that? Just all the rest of
God, no, someone else. I just read with someone else. Mississippi, maybe?
all those ones. Okay,
Who
gotcha.
knows? It's all slave states.
All the yeah.
Well, it's always the slave states.
Yeah. So no, but so what JediRich he told me about this. So I guess what they're making the law there is that you can't have an abortion after 6 weeks, which usually you can't even have an abortion before 4 weeks. So that only is a 2-week window they're giving. And also some people don't even know that they're pregnant within that window, because you might just think you're gaining weight. Some girls don't have regular periods. So girls could be up to like 2 months pregnant, maybe even 3, and not even realize it. You know what I mean? Because I used to skip periods all the time. So I could have got pregnant and just be like, well, I'm getting fat or whatever. And you don't even get that fat right away. It takes a minute before you really would show. So you could be quite a bit along before knowing. So that is not really cool. And okay, here's the thing. People go, well, but then if they're more along, then the baby's more developed, so then they shouldn't have the kid. Well, you guys, so everyone is saying that it's like murderous and stuff to kill a baby that's not formed. Okay. Well, for one thing, that's such a slippery slope, because what do you consider killing the baby? Then using a condom? I mean, where's your limit, right? So that's a slippery slope where we're going to go there if you're going to do that path. But then also there's oh my gosh, there's so many things here. This might take a second, because now I'm getting all fired up. But anyways, so there's that one. Then there's the fact that it's okay. The fact that they would even say this is murder when we have like almost 9 wars going on, when they're sending people to die every single day, but they're saying that like, oh, bringing more people into the world, into this shitty world is murder, when you're actually saving a child by not bringing them into a horrible environment if you're not fit to have a child at the time. So instead, oh, bring your child in this world and then send them to war. That's a better idea, right? That's what they want. Well, that's ridiculous. And that's why, oh, fine to go have your son be killed in a war, but don't kill him before he's born, and make sure he has a real horrible childhood because you're poor and can't afford to have him. So make sure you have that and then send him to war when he's 18.
Well, yeah.
Great idea.
Right, yes. And you know, when people first get that realization, they get very angry. When they first realize that basically the states that want you to have babies is primarily because they need bodies to put overseas.
Right.
And so it's rich people telling poor people to have more babies because rich people have abortions if necessary and use contraceptives.
Right.
They just don't tell you about it.
Right. So that's number 2. So it's not murder, okay? And also, why, if it was murder, if you're convinced it's murder, why is some murder okay? Why is it okay to murder someone that murdered someone else? Or why is it okay to murder someone in a war? Well, those murders are okay, but to murder a child before it's brought into a shitty environment, okay, you're actually saving the child from this fucking shitty world, because the people that are having abortions are doing it because they don't think their life is a good environment to bring a child. And I know this because I've had an abortion, and I had one. I found out right away that I was pregnant because I had actually just happened to go get a physical for something else, and then so I found out right away. So they made me wait 4 weeks before you can have an abortion. So you have to wait 4 weeks, and now in these states they're saying you have to have it between 4 and 6 weeks. So they give you a 2-week window, which is ridiculous. But anyways, so I had an abortion because here's why. I was bulimic. I was an alcoholic. I didn't have a place to live. I kept getting kicked out of my dad's house, and I didn't have a steady boyfriend. And the guy that I was, the dad did not want to have the child either, and he just lost his job. And I was a wreck because my mom had killed herself and I hadn't dealt with anything. So I decided that that was not the environment to bring a child into the world. So I actually made the decision to choose a better option for the child. Would be, don't have him experience that. Have him die before he experiences anything and goes to the next life and gets to come back in a better chance, a better opportunity, because my life was not the life for a child.
Right, and so that's JediJoy's story there. And every woman has their own personal story. And thank you, JediJoy, for being
You're welcome.
so honest with that. And you can hear the anger because it's just very frustrating that people would try to tell other people what to do in this day and age, because slavery is ended. You don't own someone else. You have no right to tell someone else. And what they'll do is they will lie to you and tell you all sorts of things. They'll say, oh, that they want you to have abortions because they're trying to thin out your race. That's absolutely ridiculous. If that's the case, then why do white people not have babies? Why do white people have abortions? Are they trying to thin out their own race? I don't think so. And so anyways, those are just little things. So you have to just check your source on things when you're getting lied to by certain people, because we're not lying. All we're saying is shit. Give you the damn choice, because once you don't have the choice, well, then there's no argument. Then it's illegal. Then you guys don't get to have abortions. Then it's like, just have your babies. We won't even be talking about it no more.
Well, what's crazy is that they think that everyone has this assumption that it's better to bring kids into really bad environments. Like, we live in these apartments that, they have like several kids, and it's one bedroom, and they'll have, like 5 kids and 2 adults in these places, and it's just insane, and it's a very bad environment for these kids, and the schools here are not very good, and the parents are very poor, and they're told not to have abortions, and they think that it's a better environment to raise children in a very horrible environment than to abort a child and let it go to the next life and have a better life. Why is that not better?
Right. I mean, right now in this day and age, it's just so you know, it is biologically impossible for a female to copulate under certain stressful conditions. Those being stressful conditions being no shelter, no food, no water, being under constant duress of attack or war. These are those sorts of things. And right now, we are currently fighting 8 wars. And whether we know it or not, our feelings deep down inside know it. And, well, there's a lot of reasons not to have babies, quite honestly.
That's very true.
Right. But more importantly, people are having less sex. And the reason why they're feeling less sexual is because we are at a number of reasons, but one of the reasons is because we're at 30 years at war. A lot of the kids today were raised by parents who were, started a war, but were depressed, and now they raise kids that are also having, et cetera, et cetera. And the second thing about abortions I want to mention real quick before we wrap up is that, in the animal kingdom, they have abortions all the time. I mean, the bird species, which is way more evolved than us, if something is wrong with the eggs or something they suspect, rather than going ahead through with the thing, they will abandon live babies to die, because it's better that they die than to live a miserable life.
Yeah, it's like survival of the fittest. We've gotten rid of survival of the fittest. Like, we don't,
Well, that isn't actually survival of the fittest. That is actually, a little bit of survival of the fittest. And it's okay
in
that
the sense that they're getting rid of the ones that did it.
Well, that's okay. We don't want survival of the fittest for humans. Survival of the fittest is a situation where no one's going to win. This is just a situation where survival of the fittest is a theory. Okay, it's called Darwinism, and it's a way that you look at the world that makes you skew it in a way that lines up with capitalism. And that's why they promote Darwinism. There's another way to look at the same thing. The same thing happened without the survival of the fittest. It was just that, hey, me and Dad are fine, and so's Junior here, but right now the conditions are such that, shit, these humans touched those babies. Right. Okay? Now I smell humans on it. Now I don't know what that means. Now that could be that humans are coming back, whatever. Well, not my problem no more. I'm out of here. It's not even survival of the fittest. It's more just like, well, I know you get sad, but why would you see that? Now you're sounding like the people who get sad when you abort.
Babies.
Right, so they abort the babies, and that's the same thing what the Christians are getting mad about when you abort the babies.
I know, but I'm not going to stop the birds from doing what they do.
No, that's true. I know that.
So that's what we're saying. It's like, yeah, you can be upset about it, but it doesn't mean you can tell other people what they can do and can't do with their own bodies.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with what I'm saying, but you just don't have a right to tell other people what they can do and can't do and tell them that they have to have a child in a bad environment. Yeah, you can still think that it's wrong. Like, that's up to you, you know what I mean? And you can think, oh, that's really sad, but it doesn't mean you have a right to tell people what to do. That's what we're saying. So,
yeah, well,
and I get sad with the birds because I love birds more than people, to be honest.
Okay, so next on the list here, we're going to be talking a little bit about parking fees. JediJoy called this out 2 years ago. What's going on with that?
Gosh. Okay, yeah, so we've lived in Vegas for about 5 years, right? 5 years?
We came here in 2013.
So almost 6 years now. But the end of 2013, so yeah, so more like 5 years. But anyways, and one of the things in Vegas was like downtown you charge for parking, but like the Strip was always free parking, and that was kind of like a really cool thing because there's not really free parking in a lot of places. Like LA, there's no free parking. A lot of big cities, no free parking, and it was kind of cool that you literally could, come to Vegas. You wouldn't. It was just felt very at ease that you could just park for free, gamble as much as you want, do whatever, and downtown was always kind of an irritant because of the parking. So the Strip was kind of like, hey, we don't do the charging like downtown. We're free. And then one day, MGM, they got greedy because after they brought in T-Mobile, I think and then when the Raider Stadium, they started talking about that they thought, we're not going to have enough parking. Oh my gosh, all these events. So they started to panic, and then they got this great idea to start charging for parking. Well, what that did, which, okay, I was livid about this. Like, JediRich can attest. Like, he couldn't believe, like, how upset this made me. Like, I was just like, I thought it was the stupidest idea they have ever come up with in Vegas. The guy was just like, what are they thinking? They've lost their mind. For one thing, they spent so much money setting up the parking things, and then they didn't work at all. We were witnesses to it. It was a disaster the first, like, 6 months. And they spent so much time, money, staff. They had to have people out there. The people were missing their flights for it because they weren't metered. The things weren't opening, and cars were getting stacked up, and the security people were too slow to get to the parking meter people. I mean, and it was a disaster. And I was like, what are they thinking? And I was like, this is just gonna fail right away. Well, they kind of fixed some of the little kinks, and then I guess it started to cruise for a minute, they thought, where I was like, I couldn't believe they didn't just, like, tank it right away, because it was just a disaster. But then they start cruising, and then everyone started to follow suit, like, oh, great, MGM did it, next Caesars did it, next everyone, you know, and then, guess what happened? No one came back to Vegas, because you know what? Anyone from LA that drives here does not want to pay for parking. I don't care if they have their little breakdowns. They have their hour free, and then they have 1 to 2 hours is a rate, and then 2 to 4 hours is a rate, and then I think 4 to 24 is a rate, something like that. Well, guess what you do? You just broke out the amounts that someone will stay in your casino. So if you go, hey, I just came here to park, I don't want to pay, let me only spend less than an hour in the casino.
Right.
Or let's just do 2 hours because we don't want to pay that extra bump up next in the parking. They thought, oh, no one will care. Well, guess what? People do care about things like that, even if they're losing their ass at the casino. Because little things like that are more irritating. When you literally have to come in, put in, know that you're having to pay, $7 to $10 an hour, and then I know they break it out, and then, it's only like 4 hours, you pay that, and then the rest is, the same amount, but whatever, 4 hours that you might have to pay per hour, that is a lot to people. They don't like that. They don't like to feel like they're on a clock. And guess what? It did. It brought the clocks back to the casino, or to the casino for the first time. I'm not even sure they've ever had clocks, because that is ridiculous. The last thing you want is people checking their time while they're trying to play games. You want them to feel like nothing is going on around them. They can just zone out and just relax and not worry about their car being towed or something. If they, people panic too. They don't understand. They don't know, oh, do I need to move it by a certain time? People don't understand. So, like, they might literally think they have to move their car, or, or want to move it because they don't feel like spending a fortune, So people panic once you put parking. People used to feel comfortable to leave their car overnight. Now, also, it probably has encouraged more drinking and driving, because you don't want to leave your car overnight because it would cost too much money. So now locals, if they do decide to go, and if they do decide to pay for parking, which that's the other thing, most locals now have not gone, and they say, who cares about the locals? Well, locals do make some of the money for your casinos, whether you realize it or not. They may not be your plethora that you think of, the ballers, but they do come in and they bring family, and guess what? They're not going to want to drive to the Strip if they're going to have to pay for parking. So instead, they're going to take their family to one of the local casinos when they come to visit, or they're, or if they're going for their night out with the wife or whatever, And times out by every person, locals do come to the Strip enough. It does make a difference. But now that you charge for parking, for one thing, we stopped going really once they charged for parking. We never just decided to just go down the Strip and play, because who wants to deal with the parking? Remember that when we had a car? Mm-hmm. Now we don't have a car. But I knew that was just the worst idea, and I just couldn't believe that they went that low. And now, guess what? By charging for parking, they now have so many parking spaces because no one wants to go to the casino anymore. So good job. You made sure your lots weren't too full.
Well, hey, yeah, and so what they're doing is, they're removing the parking. I guess they're removing the fees for now, or they're starting to reverse that. And one of the things that JediJoy mentioned was that the problem was not necessarily so much the money, but it made people realize like how long they're staying in a casino. Yeah. And if they were going to do anything, what they needed to do was to do it like they wanted to get. They should have done it reverse. They should have done 0 to 2 hours, $20. 0 to 4 hours, $10, over 4 hours is free. So that way, the longer you stay, the cheaper it is. You're like, oh, you know, at least I get free parking for staying longer after I lost my ass, rather than having to pay an extra $20 after you lost your ass.
Right, and then you pay it when you leave too, so it puts a bad taste in people's mouth that they just lost, and then they gotta pay when they leave. Like, fuck this place. I'm gonna go somewhere where they don't charge for parking, which is anywhere but the Strip and downtown. So like, there's plenty of casinos locally that you can go and not have to park. So like, literally, all the locals said, forget it.
Fantastic.
I mean, and you can go close. You can go like to Palms, Orleans, Rio. You know, like
Beautiful.
the ones.
The best casinos in town.
Yeah, all the ones. You know, any of the station ones. You know, Palace, Red Rock.
I love Palace.
Yeah,
I
so
love Palace
all
Station.
those you can go to, not pay for parking, and those casinos started doing great. That's why Station bought Palms. I mean, they're doing fantastic. They just remodeled Palms because all the locals said, forget it. We'll go to the Station casinos. You know, because charging locals for parking. And then then they think, oh, well, we don't care about the locals. Well, they forgot about all the people from LA that drive here on the weekend. I'm sure they said, we're not going to. Literally, I know that they will then stay at hotels off Strip as well when they come from LA. Because if you're going to come from LA and you could save yourself probably like $40 a day by staying off Strip, which is already probably cheaper to stay off Strip anyways, and you have a car. So you don't need to be on Strip. You could drive to the Strip if you wanted to, like to look at it. You know, that's what most tourists want to just look at it and be on their merry way, you know. So what usually gets people to stay on the Strip is they don't have a vehicle, you know, like, so you'd be like, oh, everything's closed, you can walk around. But if you have the people that had a vehicle and now they're like, oh, no, I don't want to pay for parking with my vehicle. Let me take my vehicle and park at the Orleans and stay at the Orleans. And if we feel like going down to the Strip for a couple minutes to take some photos, great. And maybe we'll just do the hour free parking, the free hour. But we won't even gamble. We won't even waste our time. We'll come back and gamble at the Orleans. So they lost their ass, and now they're undoing the parking.
Oh,
They could have just came and asked me. I would have told them it was a terrible idea.
Great. Hey, great update, JediJoy. Hey, so that kind of pretty much wraps up the top news this week. Any other news that you can think of going on around in Vegas, JediJoy? Okay, well then that will be it for today. Hey, great show, great first show, JediJoy. Awesome show. You did great, and we'll definitely be back next time to talk about more things. And she's always got, as you can tell, she's a firecracker. She's always got an opinion on something. They used to tell her that she had the gift of gab, and I think that she's right.
And opinions are like armpits and assholes. Everyone's got them, and they stink.
Okay, guys. Till next time. See you guys next time.
Bye.